Hello and welcome to I'm Every Woman TV. And today we have a very special show and broadcast live on location at the Royal LePage Training Center. We're so happy to be here and we're so happy to have them as a sponsor of our show today. Now, today we're going to talk to you about a few things. Are you tired of fighting with your spouse, your children, your co-workers, your neighbors, your family, your friends? Would you like to have a more cohesive, easy relationship? Well, I'm sure that you would, and we have Janice Nisker in from the Sterling Institute of Relationship that is going to talk to us about how easy it is to have these type of relationships in your life. And you can experience peace over turmoil. She's going to tell us about the Sterling Institute of Relationship, who created it, A. Justin Sterling. And she's also going to tell us about their two main programs, the Women's Weekend and the Men's Weekend. So you can find out how you can be a part of these tremendous transformational programs. Then we have Susanne Witte coming in, who is the Law of Attraction coach, and she was also a team trainer for Shriya Shah, who, as you might know, was the first Nepalese Canadian woman to climb Mount Everest about a month ago. And sadly, she died on her descent back. Susanne is going to talk to us about what really happened to Shriya, and she's going to tell us about how they helped prepare her for this big journey. And it was her mission, it was her legacy that she left behind. And she's going to also talk to us a little bit about how to have your big dream without making it too big or too much. So she'll be on in a little bit later. And then we're going to round out the show today with a very special magnetic marketing moment done by myself, which is 5 ways to sell to women. So please stay with us. We'll be right back on the other side of this break on I'm Every Woman TV. Welcome back to I'm Every Woman TV. I'm your host, Janette Burke. And my first guest today, Janice Nisker, is the program writer for the Sterling Institute of Relationship. Welcome, Janice.
Hi, Janette.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Great.
Janice, I introduced this segment by saying that, people start fighting with their family, their friends, and their coworkers and their spouse and their children. And Sterling Institute is about making peace. And I'd like you to maybe elaborate a little bit about that by telling me what is the Sterling Institute of Relationship and what is the Sterling Women's Weekend and the Men's Weekend, if you could please comment on that.
Okay, the Sterling Institute of Relationship is an organization that provides these transformational weekends for men and for women so that they can have the relationships of their dreams, so that they have tools to go out into the world and have better relationships with themselves mainly, with their families, with their friends, with their coworkers, with their children, with anybody. And they get to sort of take this little toolbox with them from relationship to relationship. There is a men's weekend where it's all men, and it is led by a man. Both of the weekends are led by a man, Justin Sterling, who is a sociologist, and he came to doing all this because he would counsel very successful women who would come to him and say, I have this great work life, but I can't seem to keep my marriage together. I'm fighting with my parents. And he created this woman's weekend out of that. And then those women said, oh, but I have friends now that would like to get the same information. And so he would do it for their friends. And then they had friends and they had friends. And then it sort of became the Sterling Women's Weekend. And then he realized that men probably could benefit from a similar type thing with some tweaks. It's not the exact same weekend. And so now he offers it for men only. And it's something that is tailored for the men.
Okay, so because we're going to your women's show, we're going to focus a little bit more on the women's side of the Women's Weekend today, realizing that, of course, when both men and women come together and communicate better in a relationship, obviously the relationship's going to be stronger.
Right.
So my next question is, how do you feel women have evolved in society today to have the need for this type of a weekend?
Okay, what has happened, if you kind of go back to, I know for me, and me being my age, I remember my mother sort of sitting around with her friends and her sisters, having that sort of kitchen table conversation with the curlers in the hair and the coffee and the cigarettes, and talking about the problems, and women saying, you know, commiserating, yes, I understand, and being supportive. And then the women's lib movement came in, and women thought, well, I don't want to be at home. I want to be out working. I want to be doing what my husband or my mate is doing. And so put all their energy into competing with men in the workplace, and then bringing that competition actually home with them to their family life. And so while they were sort of liberating themselves in the work venue, they were kind of causing issues at home. And what the Sterling Women's Weekend does, it kind of gets you to where you need to be in your work life, but then when you come home, how can you have successful relationships? How can you get back to that sort of feminine intuition, feminine side that worked in the past with our mothers and grandmothers and in the past? So it's almost balancing what you do at work with how your relationships are at home.
Okay, you mentioned the competition in the workplace between men and women, but I'd also like to address the fact that women too had become competitive with each other, and now
Right.
there's a trend back to being more collaborative. What's the differences? How does it work?
Well, in the workplace, the way that we perceive to get ahead is to be competitive, and that's how men have gotten to be successful, and women have modeled that exact same thing, to be competitive. But what we see over time, even in the workplace, being collaborative is a more feminine way of being successful. Yes, you still want to achieve your purpose if you're in sales or whatever, but women can do it in a slightly different way than men, more collaborative. And women also in the sort of relationship arena tend to think, well, that woman, we're competing for the same man, we're competing for the same relationships, and so I have to make sure that I'm covering myself so that she doesn't get the better of me. And in fact, that sort of attitude keeps women at a distance from each other, as opposed to being supportive and loving and helpful to each other. So getting rid of that sort of looking over your shoulder all the time at what your friends or your colleagues are doing that are feminine doesn't serve. And it's that sort of collaborative, supportive group effort that we have found works much better.
Okay, so Justin wrote this book called What Really Works with Men. So this is
Right.
produced by Justin Sterling, Justin Sterling.
Right.
You can get this in the library. You can get this online bookstore at Amazon.
Right.
And my question to you is, he provides a lot of tools and resources. How do you feel whatever you've learned thus far has worked for you, and how has it worked for others? So I guess the question is, what have you taken from this, which is also, I guess, part of the weekend training?
Right.
And how have you applied the tools in your own life or seen other people apply the tools?
Okay, well, I'll use my life
we
because
can accept that.
because
Yes.
I can do that.
Okay.
when I did my women's weekend, my relationship with my mother was not wonderful. It was competitive, and I did it 12 years ago, and my relationship with my mother is totally different. She hasn't changed one bit. She's still who she was, hasn't changed, but my way of relating to her has changed. I'm much more accepting. I don't take what she says personally when she says things that I may not like.
Like, I don't like your hair today.
Like, I don't like your hair, or,
you know,
whatever it is.
That the mothers do, right?
That mothers do, or where are you going, what are you doing, and who are you hanging out with?
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
And still, even at my age, she does that. And that's, that's a mother's prerogative, because you're always a mother. But I've learned to accept these things differently. I've learned that by me being just a woman with her, not her daughter, but just another woman. If she was another woman, how would I treat her? I would treat her with respect, and I would treat her with admiration, and I would listen to what she says and weigh what she says and decide if it's true for me or not. And that shift has made a big difference. My daughter has also done the Sterling Women's Weekend, so we relate on a very close level. When we speak to each other, we know sort of what we're talking about, and having that relationship has been amazing. Also, when I did my Women's Weekend, I was divorced at that time for 15 years.
And now you're remarried.
And now I'm remarried, and working on a great relationship with my husband. So all of those things have changed drastically for me. And I've seen women who are on the verge of divorce, when they do their Women's Weekend, realize that the man they have really is the right man. They just didn't know how to have a relationship that worked. And now that they have their little tool bag, they can go and recreate what was originally in that relationship.
And what about single women? How might this help single women?
For single women, it's getting very clear on how to choose the right man for you. And it's not about the way he looks or whatever. That's not the things. The things really
how much money he makes.
Or it may be. I mean, that could be a criteria. That somebody is financially stable, and that's a perfectly
legit,
reasonable requirement to have of somebody. But it gets deeper. It gets to really the things that over the course of a lifetime that are going to matter. Are you compatible? Do you have the same values and morals? Do you both want to have children? Do you not want to have children? If you do, what are your thoughts on raising children? Does the person have to be of the same religious persuasion? What if they smoke? All of those things that can be deal breakers, you get those placed firmly in your mind so that when you meet someone, you have something that is objective. It's not, oh my God, he's gorgeous, I'm in love with him, and not really get to who he is as a person.
And how you can have bring each other into the relationship to have a really lasting relationship.
Right, because that's what you want.
At the end of the day, you want to grow old with somebody and hold their hand on, up until the time you depart, and really have the best life possible with that person.
Right, and you don't want after 60 years to think, oh my God, I just sort of grinned and bared it. You want to be able to say, well, I've had the best partner for me. I've enjoyed my journey with this person. And that's how you want your relationship with your husband to be, is that this is your best friend and the person that has made your life so fabulous. And not that you need this person to make you happy, but that person makes you happier. So and that's the difference. It's an enhancement.
And supports, I guess, in your goals.
And does what you need of them to do, whatever that is for you.
I think that's really important, given that the divorce rate is so high today. And, we know that people get married sometimes for the wrong reasons, very young, and by the time they hit 20 years together, wind up in their 40s, they're now looking for the second relationship that really is the one that they should have been looking for all along, the life mate relationship.
Right.
So I'm going to just move on with two more questions, because I know we only have so much time for you today. It's so interesting. I could talk about this forever. When is the next weekend?
The next Women's Weekend is September the 28th, 29th, and 30th, and that will be in Boston, Massachusetts. And the next Men's Weekend will be November 16th, 17th, and 18th, and that will be in Newburgh, New York.
Okay. Now, I know you can't tell us a lot, but can you just give me sort of a basic premise about what the weekend's about?
It's all about relationship. And the reason, and I'm not trying to be coy or funny, but the reason that I don't really want to tell you more in detail is just know that you're going to come out of there with the tools you need to be successful. If I tell you what the weekend did for me or from my perspective, then I'm going to bias you because you're going to expect it to look like it did for me, and it may not. There may be parts for me that were very impactful that for you may not, and you're going to think, well, that wasn't what I was looking for. But there may be other parts that are hugely relevant to you that may have not been for me. So
Okay.
I don't want to bias anyone about what they're going to get. Just know you're going to walk out having way better relationships than when you walk through the door.
And what would you say to somebody who looks this weekend up on the internet and finds some information that is challenging, such as, that it might be a cult-like experience or what have you? How can you address that to take that comfort, make it a comfort zone?
It's interesting because that's exactly what happened to me. The night before I went to my Women's Weekend, I went on and I found a website that was derogatory. And what I realized is, and how I knew it in that moment, I don't know, but I did, was that there's a lot of things that are written on the internet that are not necessarily true or that are coming from a particular person's bias. And I guess there was a part of me that said, you know what, I have to experience this for myself. I'll make my own decision. The person who had written some of this stuff had also said that the Boy Scouts are a cult. So you have to kind of look at where information is coming from, and you have to talk to the people who have been there. And that's one reason that the men have a sponsor and the women have what's called a big sister. And it's the person who is their mentor that helps them get the information they need, takes them to, through, and beyond their weekend to make sure they have the information that is correct for them, the right information that is going to set them up for success.
Now, I know that you can get a taste of this too because you have meetings.
Right.
I believe you call them wells.
Right.
Some are open and some are more class-like. Would you care to elaborate? I know you're having one tonight, so maybe a good time to invite some ladies to come down and experience it.
We actually have two different opportunities. One is a well, which is a meeting somewhere sort of central Mississauga area where the women of the Toronto end and the women from the Hamilton, Niagara Falls area that have done the Sterling Women's Weekend get together and live a piece of the weekend. And as you said, some of them are open where we have guests come in so that they get to experience the same thing. And they can decide for themselves if this is something that they want to do at a later time. There's also something tonight which is an event that we have, because we have classes every week. And this is an open class where
this is support after the weekend.
Yes.
So you never lose what you've learned.
You never lose. You always get to reinforce. And tonight we're having an open event where women can come and again experience a piece of the weekend, but in somebody's home. And it's a smaller little venue and it's more intimate, but you still are going to get a piece of the weekend and talk to the graduates and have the guests get the information that they require.
And I think that's really good because I think that as you said, there's a special bond between women that cannot be obtained in any other relationship.
That's right.
And I think that I've been noticing, having gone to a few of your meetings, is that there's this sisterhood,
right,
and the opportunity to build amazing relationships, as well as get the support, the help, and the tools that you need.
Right.
And I think that that's a wonderful opportunity. So I thank you for sharing that with me and bringing me to that. Now, I know we're running a little bit out of time, and I want to mention two really good points, so I want to make sure we fit it in.
Yep.
And that is that how, the cost to get to the weekend, if you can elaborate on that and tell us a little bit about the fundraising initiatives you have going.
Okay.
For the women to get to the weekend. I know this is one of them. We're going to talk about that in a second. But first, just tell us a little bit about the cost and how you help fundraise.
Right. The cost of the weekend is $500 US. Mm-hmm. Plus, there is a cost for transportation because to get from Toronto to Boston. And generally, the women who are going from the Ontario area will go together and we'll pool our funds and come up with a way that everybody gets to go together and it becomes more cost effective. And then there's a hotel for a couple of nights as well. And again, the women share rooms and it becomes cost effective. So that's the cost. So it's the weekend is $500, your transportation and your hotel, a little bit of food, and that's basically it. Now there are a lot of women who say, I don't have the funds. And so we do help them to fundraise for themselves. And there's been things like car washes. There's been dinners where people will invite people to come and pay a certain amount of money, and they'll have a dinner. There'll be maybe a gift basket raffle. There are, or let's say a woman is particularly skilled at doing something. She will offer her services in return for money for this specific purpose. So that's
and you have two draws on now, and I think this is really important because this can help a woman live her dreams. And if you're interested in supporting that, I know you've got this beautiful Louis Vuitton style bag, and it's all leather trim, and it's marked Louis Vuitton. It's the latest one, and it has the monogram. It's called the monogram. I looked this up online. And also the matching wallet, which is also all leather, stamped, everything. There's even an authentication, so we don't know. I know it was donated, so we don't know if it's, an exact. It's a style. If it's discarded, but it has no marks on it. It's perfect. It's got all the authentication of it. It may be a discarded one or replica. But nevertheless, it's all leather. It's great. And I know that I looked this up online. Together, it sells for almost $4,000. The wallet alone is $750. So for $450, someone can claim this today, right?
Right.
And that's an amazing offer for two pieces with the packaging and everything. You also have a draw for a 1-year membership to Curves, and that comes with workout gloves. And I don't know what people know about Curves, but they have now a new edition called Curves Complete. And I happen to be on it, and it's fabulous. It tells you what to eat, when to eat, how to shop, the recipes on the go. It gives you the motivation videos. It gives you the workout. It's great. So how can somebody claim that when you've got the tickets? They're, $3?
They're one for $3 and 3 for $10. No, sorry. 1 for $5, 3 for $10.
So 1 for $5, 3 for $10 for a $750 membership.
Right.
That it is offered from the Thornhill location, I believe, but I believe it can be transferred or used or given to a friend as a beautiful gift.
Right.
How can people claim a bid of $450 or get those tickets for that Curves membership? How can we contact you to get that?
The best way to contact me is at my email, which is paddlesup, PADDLESUP, like paddle, up 22@yahoo.ca.
Okay, and the money needs to be in by a certain time, right, to go for the next weekend?
We are looking. I would love to know that this woman is going to, because these initiatives are for a specific woman who is really very passionate about getting her weekend, and we would like to have this in the bag by either the end of June, middle of July at the latest.
Okay. And please just say the Sterling website. So that's for registration, or they can also contact you for registration.
You can't register directly, even though it says it. It's actually, the link doesn't really work. But you can contact me at that same email address. And the Sterling Women's Weekend information can be found as www.sterling-institute.com, and it's a hyphen and not an underscore, because something else will come
We're going to flash it for you anyway, but it's the Sterling Institute of Relationship. And once again, the book is What Really Works with Men, and it does. It's by A. Justin Sterling. This is Janice Nisker, Program Director for the Sterling Institute of Relationship. One more time, your email address to get to you.
It's paddlesup22@yahoo.ca, PADDLESUP22@yahoo.ca.
Okay, I'm sorry we're out of time. It's been a pleasure interviewing you. I could talk all day with you on this. Thank you so much for being here, and I really hope that the woman you're trying to support does get her dreams to come true.
Me too.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll be right back with Susanne Witte, who will be talking to us about Shriya Khan Colfine, who has been receiving a lot of media coverage. We're going to show you a clip now. as the first Nepali Canadian woman to climb Mount Everest, and unfortunately passed on her way down. We're going to hear a lot more about her legacy, her determination, and her journey. Stay with us.
Well, Nepal's Mount Everest is considered to be the highest mountain in the world. Over the years, many have attempted to scale its rocky surface. Some succeeded, while others failed. Well, one South Asian Canadian woman is looking to make her way to the top of Mother Nature's icy sculpture. Her name is Shriya Shah Chlorophine. And I had a chance to sit down with Shriya just days before she boarded her flight to Nepal. It's an adventure decades in the making. When Shriya Shah Chlorophine was 9 years old, she went on a helicopter ride with her parents in Nepal that took them towards Mount Everest's glorious peak.
I remember the view. That was just the sunlight, just about like 50 feet I can watch the summit of the Mount Everest, and it was like breathtaking, the view. And I was thinking one day I will do that.
And so with that in mind, Shriya set her sights on the mountain's peak, eager to one day conquer the icy masterpiece. But the goal does not come cheap.
It's about like $71,000 only, Canadian dollar, is only for the expedition, plus the equipment's expense and the food and tips and all that. So about like 100,000 expense. You have to find some good guides, the travel agency who knows already, who has knowledge. Sherpa, who's going to be climbing, showing me the way, helping me for the tent, helping me for the water, and all those people, they have to be reliable. So all those things, like a coordination thing, it took like it's been like more than 1 year that I have been coordinating this thing.
At 32 years old, Shriya is in top peak condition. She works out around 6 hours a day, a combination of martial arts, cardio, and strength training.
Morning time is a martial art, evening time is mostly cardio, push-ups, all kind of thing like muscles and abs. Also for the practice, I have been carrying 45 minutes to an hour and a half. I carry a 45-pound backpack. I walk pretty much up and down, because Rogers Road to Eglinton, it has a hill down and up. That gives me pretty much practice. So it's, I would say average-wise, 6 hours workout every day.
But her preparation goes well beyond the physical conditioning. There's the gear, climbing tools, and supplies one needs to bring with them during the climb.
At night we'll be walking, so we need like a very neon but very sharp light. So we carry this one. Also, you never know what's coming from up, so we have a helmet. Well, this is a expedition shoes. It has like a minus, they call minus 35 to minus 40, because it has like a fully cover inside, and this is the crampons. So,
okay, so you
yeah.
put that underneath your shoe.
Yes.
And then there's the mental preparation.
Just can't wait to get there and just to risk Canada's flag. That's all I can see myself doing.
Shriya will be accompanied by a crew of 4 Sherpas, and for the first couple of weeks before she actually begins the climb, Shriya will undergo extensive training. The climb is divided into 4 base camps, the 4th being the shortest distance to the peak, but the most dangerous. And once at the top, Shriya will have climbed over 26,000 feet.
I have to go from a base camp to camp 1, come back. They will check me. Everything is fine. I don't have any fever, anything like a contagious problem, anything like that. Then they will let me go camp 2. Again, I have to come back. So it's kind of like they will let me do lots of practice.
Shriya's expedition is scheduled to last 62 days, beginning on April 15th and ending on June 4th. If successful, she will be the first South Asian woman from Canada to reach the top. Her goal is to become Canada's 4th Canadian woman to make the climb.
I'm doing this thing because I wanted to give a message that follow your dream. You have a one life, live your life.
Welcome back to I'm Every Woman. I'm your host, Janette Burke. And our next segment is featuring, it's a tribute actually, to the life, works, the determination, and the legacy of Shriya Shah Chlorofine's life mission, which was to climb Mount Everest. Now, I know you just saw a little bit about that when we were on break, and we showed you a flash of the media she received. She was the first Nepalian-born woman who made her way to, she's a Canadian citizen, to climb Mount Everest, and sadly died on her descent back down. And we have with us today Susanne Witte, who is a law of attraction coach and was also one of the team members who helped prepare Shriya for her journey up the mountain. So we're going to learn a little bit more about what happened, and welcome, Susanne.
Hi, thank you to be here.
You're welcome. Susanne, what is a law of attraction coach? What does that mean exactly? And how did that expertise you have contribute to your preparing Shriya for her journey?
A law of attraction coach is somebody who empowers people to reach their goals, to find their ways. We have different ways of action and possibilities to get people in the right direction, to go for the right focus, to help them to go in that direction they would like to go, to empower them in their own power, which some people getting lost in. And we're doing that. And Shriya, we simply help her to prepare everything to get in that direction, because you have to have a certain mindset as well when you go up the mountain. And
so tell me more about that. You prepared her mentally, physically, and emotionally, and financially, right? Can you be specific about some of the mindset tools that you used?
So first of all, to say to Shriya, Shriya is a very mind-strong person, so she has that wish already since she is 9 years old to go up the mountain. So that is something she always wants. But if you go up the mountain, you have to have pretty strong willpower as well, because you have to deal with lots of different ways which are coming toward weather-wise. It's very cold, it can be stormy as well. Altitude, everything is a very important thing. So my way of working with Shriya was helping her, the main thing, promoting as well the course and talking with her over and over again, like really going for, so seeing the whole wanting behind it, to make clear that this is really something. And Shriya was very clear that she wants to go on the mountain.
Right. Okay. So she had some challenges she encountered beforehand. I'd like you to comment on it. I know that there was some financial challenges to raise the money to go, and she did a lot of fundraising, and some of that money was also to go to the Sick Children's Hospital, which she would like that legacy to live on. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things she did to raise the capital to go? I mean, I know she took a lot of risk, right? She even put her house up for a mortgage. So what are some of the things she did to make sure that she had the money to go, the support from her friends, her family, and her husband? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that went on?
Yeah, Shriya was also a member of I Believe Global, which I'm the president of. I Believe Global, it's a group from motivational coach, inspirational speaker, authors, and all kinds of walks. She had a lot of support from her personal friends as well. What we would do, and Shriya was starting that already before, fundraisers, which would go partly to sick kids, children. We would do events where we would invite people as well. We had a lot of work with us. We'll put dinner in. We would have all kinds of things happening which would help her to raise the money. People who dance, who sing. That would be like big events what we would plan up in front. Shriya would as well go and talk to people, because one of her motivation was actually, when she comes back, to work with youth and with children, to get actually installed into them the belief in themselves and the wanting to go for their dreams, like Shriya did. And Shriya went for her dream, and she wanted to simply empower and go and talk on colleges, on universities. She actually already started, and she had a lot of support from our group and especially from her friends.
Was there any government financing? I know she wanted to place the Canadian flag at the top of the mountain when she reached it. So was there any government financing?
No, this was not really happening. So we was giving a part of the money towards sick kids' children, but it went mainly actually from private things, like mainly from, putting a mortgage on a house. And it was quite a bit of a strain on the family towards that.
Right.
Yes.
What are some of, like, how much does it cost? I don't think people realize that to take a climb up Mount Everest is not a cheap endeavor. Can you please explain some of the costs that are involved?
You have to have, first of all the equipment, which is not really cheap. So you have to pay for shepherds, which are going up there with you. You have to pay for the training and first. You have to go for the license, and you have to have the oxygen bottles and everything. Like you can easily get up to $90,000 when you go up there.
Dry food supplies.
Dry food supplies.
Diapers, because there's no washroom.
That's right, because you have to use the diapers when you are actually being there in the tent up there.
And you have a campsite, so you need like camping equipment, obviously.
Hiking boots, you need special equipment.
Winter
it's minus
clothing,
40.
Yeah.
And
so the costs are very intense.
It's very intense. It's very high, yes.
And I understand that Bruce Colfine, who was Shriya's husband, now was able to retrieve the body, and that it will be coming back. He's bringing her body back, but it's been cremated in her hometown, Mumbai.
Yes. No, in Kathmandu.
Oh, Kathmandu.
Nepal, yes.
Okay, so it has been cremated. The ashes will be returned to Canada. There will be a memorial service, right?
This is so far, there will be a memorial service, but this is up to Bruce, because that's a lot of pain for the family, and we respect the privacy there as well. And we will go for it and will as well talk about that. So.
And I would assume there was a cost also to get the body off the mountain. They had to go with a helicopter, right?
This was something which was dealt by the government, as well as the Canadian government.
So the Canadian government helped that. Okay.
They helped out there. So in details directly, I cannot tell 100% because we was leaving Bruce space there as well. This is very sad.
Right,
and
it is, yeah.
He had to deal with that part as well.
So turning on to your expertise as a law of attraction coach, do you feel that Shriya was ready to pursue her big dream?
Shriya was more than ready to do that. She worked so long on it. I remember that I had a discussion with Shriya about that, and was saying, you can go back. You don't have to, because that's a lot of pressure you put on yourself. You are dealing with media, you're dealing with people, with your friends, you're giving a promise out. And I think it's sometimes even more courage to say, sorry, I don't. But Shriya was convinced 100%. She would go. So we had other coaches as well who would work with that. And she would say, I know the risk when I'm going up there. I know it's an 80% that I'm not coming back, but I decide to go. And Shriya was already starting with talking, with exercising, to go out there and to talk. So she was all prepared and all set up. We had things that we would sit together with her. We would try to do every day with her in contact to get her the motivation there as well, to talk to her. And Shriya was actually the one who would start to motivate us.
Was there anything, though, that you might have suggested that she do differently? For example, chunk down, reevaluate, alter the dream, spend longer preparing, to feel satisfied without going to such extremes. So is there anything you might want to add in there that you might have suggested differently?
Not directly towards Shriya, because it's a passion which was driving her, what she wanted to do. What I would cause differently would be the whole situation. You have to know when you be on top on the mountain, you have to be by 11 a.m. off the summit, because the condition would change, and there was 150 people on top.
Okay, so that's what actually happened, right? Can you comment on that? What actually happened? What really happened? She got up to the top.
She got up to the top, and there was literally like a lineup of people,
150 people.
Of 150 people on top on the summit, and there is no way that you can get in time by 11 a.m. down. What's happened then is that the altitude changed, so the air is getting thinner, even the condition getting worse.
And you can get sick, right?
You can get sick.
You get mind sickness.
Yes, you have literally like thinner air up there.
Right.
And people would have also to deal with less oxygen. You have to stand in line and wait, and that has happened to Shriya.
So she was waiting, and then what happened?
She was waiting, and by trying to get up in the dead zone, also the condition and the ice is packing more, then it was also light snowfall as well. So it should never be allowed too many people there in the same time on top on a mountain.
Right, so this is a bit of a business, right?
It's
so
a bit of a business. I do understand Nepal there. That's an income as well, but it shouldn't be happened.
Right, so there's no camp at the top, right? You have to go down to get to the camp. So she was heading back.
Yes.
And she was exhausted.
She was exhausted from the waiting.
How many hours was she up there?
I'm not 100% sure how many hours she was up there, but I know that it was too long and that she had oxygen problems there as well. And it's almost literally like you get a brain freeze.
Okay, is that what happened to her?
Yes.
And so her legs gave out and she just fell.
Yep.
But she died pursuing her dream.
Yes, she was very happy. So when we was getting the call that we was celebrating because she reached her dream, and she really did it.
She's celebrating her life, and I'm trying to give her pay her tribute too, because I know that when I attended one of the fundraisers, I spoke to Shriya and I said, I'm going to have you on as a guest when you come back. So I'm really honored to be doing this tribute now, and you here speaking for her. I just want to give you a little bit more about what you're doing too, and your role in all this. So do you feel sometimes when you're coaching people, it could have been Shriya, it could have been somebody else, that a dream can be too much sometimes? The passion or the big dream can be too much? And if so, how can a big dream be altered so you feel that you're still accomplishing what you want without the sabotage or the guilt or the blaming? I'm not successful, I'm giving up something. How can it be a win-win?
I think first of all, when you have a passion, you have to be clear that you really want it, and you have to know about your motivation and why do you going there, and because why do you do that? And that was something which was clear, very, very clear about it. So if you are not clear about your purpose, why you're doing it, and have maybe completely different motivation and can't clear it up, get a coach like I'm doing it and go through it.
Okay.
And go through the details.
So we have 1 minute left, so I'm just going to say that you actually work with businesses and individuals in the motivational field as a facilitator and speaker and coach, providing one-to-one and group coaching programs options for your clients to have the emotional, spiritual, and financial, empowerment you need to really live your life to your dreams. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and how do you feel that you will help to make Shriya's determination and legacy live on?
I think the biggest part she did already by doing that. So what we want to do is really living on her dream with the I Believe Global Group and also her friends, and simply going into that and helping teens, children to get motivated and going there and speaking there. So what I want to do in the future as well, and we have to talk with the whole group as well, getting involved with other groups which are working with teens and with children and universities, colleges and so on, and making her dream come true, that this has really happened, that the message come out, that you can live your dream and that you can go for it and do it.
Even if you have to alter it and still have it and still feel successful and powerful, right? It's it's unfortunate that a dream can maybe cost you your life, but it can also be altered so that you feel empowered. I think that's part of your message and what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And I know we're running out of time, so I just want to make sure that we mention that you have a 1 hour phone or Skype Design Your Life session valued at $150. So can you just explain that for the first person to email in to claim? It's a 1 hour phone or Skype Design Your Life session with you for $150. What do you mean by design your life?
What I'm meaning by designing your life, everybody has a kind of desire or need and want to reach certain points. Like if it's in wealth, if it's in health, or if it's in simply your passion and clarification. So what I will do, I will go through that with you and help you to find special points to go from there and reach your points, what you want. So I'm gonna tickle out a little bit your desire and help you to find the right steps and giving you
And
tips.
even if you say, no, I want to reevaluate this, or I'm not going to go through with it like you suggested Shriya might have done, that's okay too, right?
Of course, it's okay. You know, that's something which helps you to clarify.
And I just want to also mention, to get more information on you, your contact number is
647-444-5789.
And you also have a Facebook page that people can visit to get more information about you and the work that you do, the tremendous work that you do, which is www.facebook.com Susanne DP Witte, which is the Law of Attraction coach. And you can find you on Facebook there.
Yes.
I know you're also on LinkedIn and Twitter, but we're going to show your link to your Facebook page so people can find you. I'm sorry, we're out of time today. This is a great topic, and I've really enjoyed having you here, and it's been a wonderful conversation. I'd like to invite you back at another time. We can talk about this and a few other things that you do, because I know that you do some other things besides coaching. One of it is that you're a terrific artist.
Thank you.
And so we'd like to showcase that in another interview. So thank you so much.
I want to say thank you also for Shriya, and to be here and talk about her. I know she would love it. I know that she wanted to come after, if she would have come back here as well. And I want to thank you very much to give us the opportunity to help her cause to go on.
Yes, I do. You're very welcome. I really do hope that her legacy goes on, and that the kids do get the empowerment they need today. We've got enough problems with our kids and our youth, and I think we could be great role models for that. So that's a really important thing. I'm afraid we're out of time, so thank you. And again, we will be right back with our last segment, which is me, Janette Burke, your marketing magnet, talking about 5 ways to sell to women today on the Magnetic Marketing Moment. Please stay with us. Thank you, Susanne.
Thank you.